Jeffrey can't stand his family. They're assholes. They treat him horribly. Jeffrey can't wait to move out and finally get his own freedom away from his family. And so Jeffrey moves out of home. But there's an issue. Now Jeffrey acts like he doesn't even have family. He begins smoking weed every day from the dirty crackhead plastic bong. That over there is dead ass the dirty bong that I used to smoke weed out of, bro. I am Jeffrey. Adonis appreciates his family more than anything. They gave him life. There's nothing more than that. Adonis is grateful for the challenges that arise with his family, especially his parents. Because of this, Adonis remains grounded and uses the wisdom gained from his family to further his growth. Kind of thick though, aren't I? God damn. I punched the camera in the previous video that I just recorded and the screen went like really blurry, but I think it's okay now. I literally punched it and I was like, oh f***, like I'll never punch it again, just please work, please don't break. Now say it with me. Distance will not fix the relationship with your family. I'm not gonna waste your time. It's gratitude that you need to fix your relationship with your family, and you need to specifically level up your gratitude skill with a few of the practices, which most people have never done before. My name is Hamza. I help young men go through the Jeffrey to Adonis transformation through self-improvement. Scroll down right now, click on the subscribe and the post notification button. It's a win-win for both of us. There was a particular moment where I thought to myself, like, yo, these are some hating ass motherfuckers. Bro, I am done. Like, not even in a funny way. Like, I was walking out of the building that I was staying in. My entire family's picking me up. I get into the car and I'm hit with a barrage of negative words straight away. What's wrong with your hair? Why are you wearing that? You look gay. You look stupid. Like, why did you walk like? Why are you walking like that? Negative straight away. And you know, I spend the day with them. We're getting food and stuff. And in my mind, I'm literally just thinking like they are just completely negative. They are not good for me. The way that they behave, the way that they treat me, the way that they make me feel. For the past few weeks, like blowing up my phone when I don't reply fast enough, that sometimes I don't want to come home for the weekend and my dad's like getting angry at me. My mom's like calling me all the time. And so I began to distance myself. I began to not reply to messages, not reply to calls, and they're spamming the shit out of my calls and everything. Eventually I go back and I move back in for a few days and we have like a big ass argument. I pretty much had like a panic attack or something similar where I was like, yeah, I think you'd call it a panic attack, where I was panicking and it was like they caged me into my fucking room, like refused to let me like go, sitting me down like, what are you doing, like what's this, why are you acting like this, what are you doing with your life and everything. They didn't feel supportive like the way that they did it, even though they were doing it to support me in a sense, but it didn't to me. It felt like an attack to me, and we're all screaming at each other. I'm flooding with tears. Everyone, like my sister's crying and everything, my mom starts crying. I'm so resentful at this point. I'm clouded with hate. So I pack like one bag, call an Uber from here to Manchester, go back, and this is like when I moved essentially like fully in with the girl I was seeing at the time. In the Uber ride back to Manchester, I go onto my phone and block everyone, and then I didn't speak to my family for about a year, which like dead ass, like think about what I just said. You know, I've grown up with my family, I've lived in the house and everything for like just normal and everything. For an entire year I didn't speak to anyone. I just lived like the full-time job, like, you know, like big man in the city lifestyle. And so I'm settled in Manchester and I'm living like I'm a person who doesn't have a family, which if you didn't know, people who don't have families are like degenerates. Like, I know we're not supposed to like be unkind, but every single time I was in like a full-on degenerate, obviously that's me as well, but every single time I was in like a degenerate environment. So it's 7 a.m, I'm looking around me and everyone's inhaling like NOS. I'm doing this too, okay? And like NOS, like one of the worst drugs you can take, which like shuts your brain off or something. Like people die from it. Everyone's sniffing Ket and coke, and everyone like instant gratification zombies. That's what people who don't have like a family support system are like. The plastic bong, like the one that like brings up the dirty water like into your mouth and you taste it. And I visualized this one time where I'm smoking from this and it just hit me. Like I almost saw like a glimpse of like not just like student crackheads, but like crackheads like underneath a bridge, like smoking out of that. Like, and I was like looking at the thing and I was like some company made this. Like, what kind of people did they make this, like, you know, this £5 bong for? And it got me so disgusting. I just imagined my mum and I was like, yeah, the type of people who don't have like that, like mum in their life. And so I'm the big adult. My relationship really improved with my family, didn't it? Because I distanced myself. I did exactly what you thought would work. I distanced myself. I'm the big adult. I've got the full-time job. I'm living in the student city and everything. And it was the worst time of my life, because your family is your safety net. It is your support system, and to grow up without that, you will be crippled. And so I slowly get back into contact, and I remember the real start of my self-improvement journey was when I had seen a couple of posts on Reddit about a free course that you can take online titled The Science of Wellbeing, and it's by like the Yale University. So I take this course, life-changing course. Like everyone, like it pisses me off when people refuse to like just sit down and invest a few hours into this, because if you're hearing me say these words right now, I want you, maybe even right now, pause the video, like just go enroll into the course and finish it within the next few weeks. It will genuinely, like, your life will never be the same once you have this knowledge. It pisses me off that it's one of the courses I've said so many times has truly changed my life. If you're anything like me, it's going to change your life too. You need this knowledge to be a happy person. So I take this course, and in one of the modules it tells you about the skill of gratitude, which, like, you know, what teacher in high school taught you about, like, you don't learn about gratitude. No one actually kind of tells you it. Maybe if you're religious and you've kind of done a few practices there, but generally you're not ever told that gratitude is one of the most important skills of life. And also the course teaches you about mindfulness, the two most important skills of life you've never learned before. And it just makes sense to me. I'm like, yeah, like gratitude is like the hack of happiness. I'm so surprised that's never come up before. And so I practice it, and it is so uncomfortable. You know, I'm writing a few things I'm grateful for, random things like I'm grateful for, and eventually I get the idea from somewhere else that I should write a letter of gratitude. And so I write one to my father. You know, I dive deep into it for the first time. I'm actually kind of thinking like, okay, what could I be grateful for my family? And nothing came to mind at first, because I hated them. They've ruined my life. They've done so much bad stuff to me. They used to slap me, they shouted at me, they gave me anxiety and everything. There's nothing to be grateful for. But I sit down and just ask myself that question, and I write like 7 pages, like straight up, like past the point of your fingers feeling like they're crippled, past that point, and there's still so many things I can list. And for the first time in my life, I'm actually sat there thinking like, they've done so much for me. And so I sent my dad like a paragraph just thanking him for this. And one of the things I sent to him was that I was so grateful that he brought us to the UK, because I was born in Pakistan and we moved to the UK when I was about 2 or 3 years old. And at the time we can get deep with the story time, bro. So at the time I was helping this homeless guy. So I worked in a homeless accommodation, and this guy's like application to benefits and everything was all like unaccepted. His thing was just I'm not gonna lie, like he had zero income coming in. He was staying in our like temporary accommodation, and he would be soon kicked out of it. This wasn't my job. Like my job was literally just to sit in that place and just like be somewhat of the security who kind of like, you know, checks people going in and out. But I had like empathy for this guy because he was brown skinned as well, and I think that probably contributed to it. It was gonna like be for him. Like COVID started happening, he's going to be removed from the temporary accommodation at any point, and he's not going to get another place, which means like for the first time, although he's homeless, he hasn't been like living on the street level homeless. And I'm genuinely thinking like this guy's probably going to die if I don't help him. And so I'm trying to navigate through like the government website stuff whilst I've got depression, whilst I'm high all the time and everything. And I remember it being so frustrating and so stressful. Like you call up the numbers that you need to call to like claim benefits or something, and no one answers. You go onto the website, click on the page to like apply, and it's a dead link. I remember it literally took me weeks to navigate this system, and like I would wake up in the middle of the night sweating with how stressed I would be. Like sometimes I'd be ready to go to sleep, and it would pop into my mind like, wait, what should we do for him? And there we go, I'm awake for like 5 more hours, and the only way to sleep would be like to force smoke weed till I passed out. So I'm stressed as and everything. I'm, you know, going through these online systems. One thing in particular was that this guy couldn't read or write or even understand English. Like he had no English like skill whatsoever. And it kind of hit me like, how did my dad do all this? Like we were in the village in Pakistan, bro, like, and he got all of the family in the UK, like one of the countries that everyone wants to be in, all the brown people want to be in. And there was no internet back then. There was no like online application. Like you had to go to a place. Like imagine, I know we're young people, right? But imagine like literally needing to like go to a place before Google Maps or anything. You had to like go to a place. Like none of us would be able to do that. Like, okay, before Google Maps, you kind of know, like, you know, he's maybe 25 or something, so he kind of has heard from someone, okay, you go to this, like, I don't know what it would be, the embassy or some shit. And so there's the address, it's in like Karachi, it's like 3 miles away, 4 miles away. And you just kind of like, without the internet, without the website check, you just kind of go there thinking like, oh yeah, I'm sure it's going to be open at like 7 a.m, but it might not be. And you might get there and they're like, oh yeah, but you need to do this thing first, you have to fill out this form, you have to do this. Like my dad did that before the internet, before all this shit. bro. Took all 5 of us from Pakistan into the UK. We struggled a lot at first with like racism and everything. We had to move houses. Like that's just probably a story for another time. I've said that story before. And now we live in like a very safe, very nice area. Big ass house, £300,000 house. All 3 of his kids have graduated with a degree from a British university, which is like every parent's, like every, especially Asian, like third world country parents' dream. It's like give them the Western education. This just hit me. I never even once like considered this, because all that was in my mind when I think about my family, especially my father, was just the negative. I was clouded by hate. I had as much reason as you right now to hate them and to distance myself away, and I did distance, and the distance did not help whatsoever. It made my life so much worse. And it was gratitude that let me actually like tap in and actually see the positives of this, and expressing it to him was genuinely like a life-changing moment. Where this was only through text. Like I hadn't even like heard anyone's voice for like an entire year. And so I sent him the message, and he replies with a bunch of messages saying like, thank you for understanding, it was hard. Just before like we left, we actually started having like a pretty good life in Pakistan, and then he sacrificed all of that. Like he was high up in a career there with like hundreds of people working below him and everything, and he sacrificed all that to just keep us in the UK working like very low level, entry level jobs. His exact words was like, in Pakistan I had 500 people working underneath me, in like he was high up, and in the UK he's worked like a labourer to support his family. Like the amount of gratitude that like just seeped out of me, it was almost something I never even considered, because I've grown up, okay, my parents do what they do, and it never even like hit me like he doesn't have to. Like the amount of people who don't have parents like this, the amount of people whose parents don't support them, who aren't around. My parents, their lives has been dedicated to their children for the last 20 years. And so there's so much gratitude that I had at this point, and I slowly get like more and more in contact. And I remember the first video call that I had with my mum, where we didn't even say anything. The moment that she came onto the camera, we literally both just burst out crying. For the last year, at this point, I had experienced depression, anxiety, overworking, stress. And in one conversation of gratitude, like my mind reframed. It was that quick. It was like almost instant. That was the fix all along. Like I distanced away for a year. I truly believed that I would not speak to them again. That they were just like, it wasn't even that I wasn't speaking to them or anything. It was like they didn't even exist. Like I truly had the mindset that my family didn't exist. One conversation of gratitude reframed that, and I had to take the first step. And I know that is uncomfortable and it's unfair for you. I know that you feel like you've been wronged, and they should take the first step to admit what they've done. I know you want your father to say like, I'm sorry for this. I did this to you, and I know that that's wrong. They can't. So far, I've helped 6 guys in a very similar situation. The one consistent thing is that their parents especially act in exactly the same way. They're all brown, and they act in the exactly same way, where they almost like they genuinely can't even see what they've done. Like you could say, okay, you did this, you used to beat me, you used to shout at me, you gave me so many problems. And I bet your parents almost do the same thing, where they're like, oh, no, like we didn't even hit you that much, it wasn't that much, like I got beat more by my parents and everything, and like we barely even touched you, it wasn't like that big of a deal, come on, come on. Like they're getting pissed off at you saying this. You want their acknowledgement of them hurting you, and I don't think parents can actually acknowledge that, because they've repressed it themselves. Because we are hurt as the children, like we're hurt of the pain, we're hurt of like, we can say the abuse. I think that the parent who hurts their children is in more pain, and that does make sense, doesn't it? If your like one main job right now, your purpose right now is to give your child like the best life and to protect them, and you are the one who has hurt them, I think there's like some kind of like psychological process that kind of blanks that out of your mind, and that's why our parents don't seem to be able to grasp what they've done. Potentially they could at some point, but like I'm not holding on to it anymore. And I know that you want that sense of satisfaction. I know that you want that apology, or not even apology, you just want them to kind of acknowledge that you're not at a good place and it's kind of like their fault. I know you want that, but I promise you're not going to get it. That needs to be something that just disappears from your mind right now, and you need to just answer this simple question. Do you want to fix your relationship with them? Yes or no? Would you like to have a good relationship with your family? Forget everything else. Just, would you like to have a good relationship with your family? Don't like bullshit. Of course the answer is yes. And the way to do that, the practical, no BS steps, is that you need to invoke gratitude. You need to level up your gratitude skill, and automatically when you start seeing them in this new light that I've experienced myself, it will feel so much easier for you to not cling on to that need of the acknowledgement of the hurt that they caused you. And so in case you're wondering what's life like now for me, I moved back home in May 2020. I live at home with my family. I'm 24 years old. Yeah, I was 22 when I moved back. I'm 24 now, so I've had like 2 little birthdays here. My my relationship with them is significantly improved. I've not had one bad like argument with my mom or my dad. Like this is almost unheard of because we get into like family arguments all the time. I've not even had a single one with them since I've moved back, because there's just so much respect and love for each other. And I said before that your family is like your safety net. It truly was for me. Like I was struggling financially, bro. I was 22 years old at that time. I'm dead ass. I'm struggling like with money and everything, and I want to do the business. At the time I used to say like projects, like these were my projects: YouTube, writing ebooks, coding, everything. I wanted to do the projects, but I didn't have the time or the mental capacity to do so because I was having to work just to pay for the rent, and then paying for the rent just to kind of exist in an unideal existence. This was the safety net I needed to come back home and just focus completely on the project. So when I first came back home, like it wasn't just YouTube that I was doing. I was trying like a bunch of random things, still trying to do like marketing. I was cold emailing like restaurants and businesses and all this. None of that bore any fruit, but I just kept on making videos, and this started to pop off and everything. Not even pop off at the time, like I was getting 20 views or anything. It was what I needed to actually be able to focus on this stuff. And I've said this in an old video of mine, that you probably shouldn't be living out of home right now. If you're in my target demographic, if you're in like your early 20s, you probably shouldn't be renting. Like I know it's so normal, and I just, now that I've experienced that full life of like renting, I find it so strange how anyone who isn't like very financially stable pays more than £1,000 per month for the freedom. And the thing is, like, you're gonna disagree. Like, you've got friends who do this probably, but you're gonna disagree. But a large part of the freedom is just so you can girls from Tinder at your place. Like, oh, every guy's gonna spaz out, but it is for the free. Like, a big part of it is because of that. The dead ass is for us guys. Like, don't be a little bitch. Like, that's a big part of it. One of the biggest parts of it. Yes, it's nice to like live by yourself, but the quality of your life when you're trading time for money so that you can just afford to like have this apartment to come back to after work is terrible. The return on investment is so bad because you're literally expending the most valuable years of your life. Like, this is the time to grow like something that explodes your wealth so you don't have to continue working like a slave for the rest of your life. This is the time to do that. And I'm telling you right now, the people who have done this, you've always heard their story. They always live with their parents, they work in the garage or something, and they explode their wealth like I have just done over the last year. If right now you're working some job that isn't like your passion, it's not something you're getting fulfillment from, and the job just pays for you to like live in the apartment in the city. I've lived that life, and you and I both know it's not that great. And then you're thinking, yeah, but it's a lot better than living at home. But it's not, because living at home would allow you to have full control and full of your brain's power invested into something that can explode your wealth, so that once you have become financially successful, and it only takes a year to do that, that's when you can move out. Right now you're just sapping your money, you're sapping your brain's power just because you don't want to live at home, because you thought that distance would work. Like, gratitude literally saved me like thousands of pounds, and it led me to this point where my business exploded. Now I could move out if I wanted, and the thing is, like, I just don't even want to. Like, my life here is like sick. Like, no one disturbs me in my work or anything, like, because we've got this mutual respect and love for each other. And you're probably thinking, yeah, but I don't, so they do disturb me in the work. Yeah, honestly, like, they kind of should at this point, because you don't have that love and respect, because you need to start it. Your parents aren't watching self-improvement videos. They're not watching they should be, but they're not watching my videos or anything. They're not learning about gratitude. They're not reading self-improvement books. You're the one with the knowledge. One of the most common words that they'll say, like what they wanted for you, was education, wasn't it? Especially if you're brown skin, like that's like what our parents always are after. It's like they wanted education for their children. When my parents used to say this, like, I never even understood what the they were talking about. Like, what are you talking about? Like, education, like going to school, like what's the difference? Like, I wish we were in Pakistan, because it would have been really hot and it would have been like sunny and stuff. Education makes a big difference, and what you're getting from these videos hopefully is some education. And so because of this transition, because I got to come back home and focus entirely on something that could explode my wealth, that's exactly what happened. I didn't have to work all this time whilst I was here. Essentially, my parents took care of me. Like, I came back home, I wasn't bringing like money to the family or anything, and my dad's obviously like working long hours in like an undesirable job. My mom's still, she's like, she's got children who are like 20s, late 20s, and she's still acting like a full-time mother. Like, they got me when I came back, and so now I've got them. And now that my business has exploded, like, I'm paying for the house now. Like, I'm dead ass paying for the mortgage, bro. How sick is that? I feel like I'm so grateful that this has been like the change over the last year. And so I wrote something down here, which I'm just going to be honest with you right now, it's kind of like contradicts my points, but I'm just going to tell you. So I've said, like, I'm really grateful. My dad's saying that I'm his inspiration because I've 180'd my life. I'm making money, I'm supporting the family now and everything. And, gratitude's really, really been important for me to fix my relationship with my family. And then I just wrote down, then why haven't I expressed gratitude for my brother? Because me and him don't get along. Like, we've barely spoke since I've moved back. Like, we fight a lot. Like, not recently, because we just kind of just don't speak to each other. We pretend like each other doesn't even exist. But especially like last year and especially the years before that, me and him fight a lot. I've never expressed gratitude for him. So I wrote this down that I'm going to do it today. And Sam's going to edit this video. So I'm going to make this like declaration right now that if I don't express some kind of gratitude to him today, I'm going to send Sam £1,000, which I believe is about $1.3 thousand. Because it's hard to step back from holding resentment. And I want you to think of resentment. It is what you have. Don't be a little bitch. Like, you need to outwardly just say, yes, I'm resentful right now. You are resentful, and resentment is instant gratification. It's the easy emotion that you can indulge in right now. So this is exactly what you can do to shortcut the process for all this. I'm going to give you the full on like step back, because I don't like the big YouTubers who just kind of like tell you the theory and then just don't give you like the autistic level like instruction. So this is exactly what you do. The most impactful and fastest way to level up your gratitude skill. So remember, your goal here is to level up your gratitude skill. The fastest and best way to do it is to write letters of gratitude. So what that literally means, I'll probably put up a picture of one that you can just read. So you get a piece of paper, you title it with the person's name, and just like you're writing them a letter, and you write like, okay, to dad, to Ryan, to whatever. And in this one page, you write just everything that comes to mind that you're grateful for them. But specifically, a lot of people ask me this and I'm so surprised it wasn't common sense, but I guess it wasn't. It has to be 100% positive. So one person like sent me a letter once, like, you know, he was going to send it to his father, and he wrote like, I'm so grateful that you used to beat me because now I've like learned how to handle myself and everything. I was like, no, what the bro, it's like, that's not what you do. It's only positive things. Essentially, you're writing it in a way that, one, it feels good for you, but it will also feel good for them. If you write something like, yeah, I'm grateful that you used to beat me because now I'm stronger, it's like they're gonna read it and think like, you know what I mean? Just don't. So it's more that I'm grateful that you did X. I'm grateful that you raised me. I'm grateful that you gave birth to me. I'm grateful that you looked after me and all the food that you got me. And I'm grateful for this one day that we had together. And I'm grateful that you did this and this and this. And that really meant a lot to me. You've always like had my back. You've always done this for me. Purely positive letter. You write the letter on paper. Don't be a little bitch and do it on the amount of times people ask me, like, when I say things like, oh yeah, do it on paper, journal on paper, and they're like, oh, can I do it on PC? Can I do it on Notion? No, of course not. Like, that's stupid. Do it on paper. You're gonna take a picture of this paper. Just, it's always nice to have like a recollection of it. And either you're going to take that picture and then send it to the person who it's for, if, you know, they're kind of far away and you can't like physically give it to them. If you're going to send it to someone via the internet, you're also then on the platform that you send it to them, whether it's like WhatsApp or Instagram or whatever, you're also then going to record a voice note of you reading the letter out to them.
I'm so grateful to experience something as fulfilling as this. Thank you, F.A.Jan.
Because that makes it so much more personal. So the stage is, write the purely positive letter of gratitude, send them a picture, send them a voice note of you just reading it out loud to them. If the person that you wrote the letter for, let's say is your father and you live with your father, write the letter, tell him to like come into your room and just read it out to him and then give it to him. And you should start cringing. If you start feeling uncomfortable at that thought, like that means that this is essentially like a PR, like this is going to be like a personal best record for you right now. Like, we feel uncomfortable when we're thinking like, wait, can I press that weight in the gym? Like, that's an extra 5 kilograms than last time. We feel uncomfortable with that. If you feel like you're gonna cringe at the thought of like writing your dad a love letter and giving it to him, that's exactly what you should be doing. Now, if you really feel too uncomfortable for that, it's too big of a step, what you can do is write the letter and then just keep the letter, destroy the letter, throw it away, burn it, whatever you want. You don't have to actually give it to the person to experience most of the benefit. At the very least, consistently, like maybe every single day, start writing letters of gratitude. And you don't just have to do this with your family that you've had like problems with. Generally, that seems to be the most impactful. But I, for example, I did a whole month of writing letters of gratitude where I wrote them to like old friends and people I used to play Minecraft with like 10, 15 years ago, and to people I knew in high school and college and everything. So you can write letters of gratitude to literally anyone that you're grateful for. Write me one, bro. Come on. If you'd write me a letter of gratitude, bro, I'd love that. You can write me a letter of gratitude, send me a picture of it, and also do the voice notes. Send it to my Instagram at Hamza97x. Like, if you do that, like, I would be impressed, bro. Anyone who sends me a letter of gratitude is getting a reply from me. And then you can start sending me memes and like ruin my dopamine detox. Yeah, that'd be sick, bro. Send me a letter of gratitude, boys. Come on. I've been getting like messages of gratitude. That's always nice, and I always screenshot them. But like a handwritten letter, like, you could like put it this way. Imagine from my perspective right now of how different this would be that you were doing this. Because okay, people send me messages saying like, you know, you've changed my life, Hamza. Like, you've been so helpful. This has happened. This has happened, and that's always really nice to read. But so far, I have not received like a letter, like a handwritten letter, so someone's taking this extra step, and also like a voice note then reading it. Like, that's a big step that you're taking speaking right there. And imagine doing it right now. It might feel a bit cringy, but imagine doing it. You're gonna feel good that you've shared that feeling of gratitude to the person who like has helped you. And whilst yeah, my videos have probably helped you, bro, I'm telling you right now, like my videos are so insignificant compared to how much your parents have done. And it's really, really worth you. Just take a few minutes to just kind of sit there, maybe write this out in a different form of gratitude. It's just gratitude journaling, where you just kind of write bullet points of things that you can think of. And you could have like the title of the page, like, what things could I be grateful for my parents? And I promise you, if you truly just don't have this level of ignorance, if you just kind of sit there and actually truly ask yourself that question, there's so much. And so I hope you experience the same type of transformation that I have. Do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. And send me a letter of gratitude, bro, at Hamza97x on Instagram.